Well, hello, my friends, and the rest of you, too. I joined the PPC, the People's Party of Canada, Maxime Bernier's party. He started it. I'm going to talk about immigration today because it seems like everybody's talking about it. Now, what I'm saying is my responsibility, and it is not the party platform. It's my own opinion. Okay, so anyhow, immigration. Now look, there's what would you call it, the real economy, which is farming and fishing and lumber, mining, putting food in people's mouths. That's the real economy. And then we have what I call the false economy. The false economy is what I'm going to be talking about in relation to immigration. The false economy is a man-made economy. It's a paper economy. It's not fish. It's nothing you can eat. You can't show anything for it. It's not like a piece of steel or a piece of wood. It's just a piece of paper. You have to have faith in that piece of paper. But that's all it is. Anyhow, I'm going to say that the government has never shown itself to be fair to its own citizens. Really. It's like the jobs we have, The jobs stink. People don't like those kinds of jobs. The rat race and everything. Really. Politicians say, oh, it's all about jobs. It's all about pretty crummy jobs for the main part. Mundane jobs. Now, anyhow, beyond that point, immigrants only want a better life. They're not the enemy. If you lived in some horrible place where people were murdering you and, politicians were really bad, really bad. The cops are killing you, people are being hung, and you have to think a certain way. Of course you want to come to Canada. Of course you do. So the immigrants aren't the enemy. The enemy are ourselves and the way we think, and the way our politicians are acting. So the need for growth in the economy is just corporate greed. It's got nothing to do with anything like feeding people. That's the real value. Feeding people, having houses. That's the real value. So anyhow, this is how we create a false economy. I'll tell you the story. We have a certain number of people in the country, and they're all fishing and chopping down trees and mining and stuff like that. And an economist thinks, oh, I got it. If we have more people, we have more consumers. More consumers, we make more money, get more taxes, and the corporations make more profit. Right? Profit. So that's what they teach in university. I mean, how stupid or how smart do you have to be to figure that out? Come on. Anyhow, more people, more taxes. So what they start thinking is, well, if we had more people, we'd have more taxes, but we don't have enough people because our people are only having 1 or 2 kids. So the corporations say, well, let's import people. Let's just bring them here. And then we'll have more consumers. So at first this is a pretty good idea. We bring more people here in larger volumes. That way we always see growth in the corporation because there's simply more mouths to feed, more houses to build. See, so at first, it's kind of neat. There's growth. So then we have to pay these people. Now this gets to be a bit more of a problem. So to pay these people, what we have to do is create the false economy. The false economy. For instance, here's a false economy. Licensing. The license bureaus. We have license bureaus upon license bureaus upon license bureaus. They do nothing. You know, G1, G2, G license, you know, this license and that license. You want to go fishing? Give us a license. Want to fix your house? Give us a license. Give us money. Give us money. You know, that's all it's about. You see. So anyhow, what the government does is create a license bureau for cars, let's say, and everybody has to pay them every year. And what they can do is hire immigrants to put into this job. You see, now they invent another licensing bureau and they hire immigrants to put into that job. And they have another licensing bureau and they put immigrants into that job. And in BC they have a licensing bureau, and in Manitoba they have one, and in Newfoundland they have one, and they've got licensing bureaus all over the place. Now we've got lots of people getting paid every week. But it's just a paper castle. It doesn't mean anything. It's just paper. It doesn't feed you. It doesn't do anything except put money into these people's pockets. How do you get that money? You tax other people. You tax the farmers. You tax the fishermen. You tax the real workers. And you get that money and you redistribute it. You give it to the, in this case, the license bureaus. Okay? And now you can tax the license people, you know, right? You tax people when they get paid, then you tax them when they buy stuff, and then you tax them when they die, right? And you tax them for everything. They want to have a boat, get a license. Want to have a car, get a license. Motorcycle, get a license. Airplane, get a license. License, like, right? It's false economy. Now there's other parts, but we're just talking about licenses as an example. So now they've taxed the regular people, made them poor to redistribute this wealth. You see? It's almost like a communist idea in a sense. Then these people need that money, but this is what's happening. Now the government has to print more money. More people, more money. That's called inflation, right? More people, more money. More people, more money. More inflation. Okay? So that becomes a problem. Now, then our government gets rid of the gold standard. You see, they get rid of the gold standard. So now this piece of paper that you have to have faith in, that used to have $1 in gold for $1, now has no dollars in gold for $10, right? The money's worth next to nothing, okay? But a house is valuable. A house is where you live. It's real. It's real money. It's real. It's not paper. It's a real thing, like a piece of iron, like a piece of wood, and you need it. So you want to buy this house because you're working at the license bureau and you're making your money. Okay, so you want to buy the house. The only thing is there's no gold to back up your money. So out in the real world, there is real gold, and gold does have a value. And people who own the gold want an appropriate value for that gold. So if your money is, let's say we print twice as much money, the gold standard says, well, now your money is only worth half as much. Therefore, your house is worth twice as much. You can't afford your house anymore. Get how it works? We're being ripped off by immigration. You see? If we have immigrants come here and they work, make their life here, join us, that's beautiful. What's wrong with that? You know, we've got diversity. We have like 50 different kinds of sandwiches now. I guess that's diversity, you know. But by increasing the population and printing more money, the money is worth less, so we can't afford to live. We can't afford our houses. And we have to work in these crummy jobs and be in the rat race to stay on board. Or somebody comes along, takes your car. Somebody comes along, takes your house. You know, so anyhow, that's what I was thinking about. The PPC, you know, are going to allow 250,000 new Canadians come here every year. That will keep the economy growing, keep the false economy growing, but it will keep it growing. But we do not need to burden the country with huge numbers of people just so that corporations can make profit and that some political parties can have voting blocks. Immigrants don't want that either. They come from bad places. They don't want this to turn into a bad place, you know? So that's the kind of thing I'm seeing, you know? For instance, a little aside, you know, we see how people love riding their bicycles. Oh, it's good riding the bicycles. But really, riding bicycles is a sign of poverty. We're becoming more third world in the sense that we're having more people than we can really take care of. And by having to print money, they're all becoming poor. Doesn't work. You know, back in India about 2,000 years ago, the Raj had conquered many of the tribes in southern India, and they had a welfare state, you know. They had a welfare state 2,000 years ago. These guys could think about in socialist ways, and they took care of their people and anybody that came to their country, to the Raj. So anyhow, what happened was so many people came there that the population got top heavy, the socialism collapsed, there was no more welfare, and everybody became poor. And they're still poor. If that's what we want, well, we can have it too, you know. But I would suggest that we keep our population down within limits, that we don't overpopulate the country suddenly just for corporate profit, and that we allow people time to assimilate and to get to know each other, you know. The different ethnic groups aren't races either, you know. They're actually culturally different people often. It's not a racial thing, I don't think. I think that they're much more divided into religious groups like, oh, Christian and Muslim and Jew and pagan and atheist, you know, more than they are into being Afghani and from Africa or Chile or whatever. I think they're more religious than they are into nations, and generally speaking, you know, religion is baloney. God doesn't exist. We protect everybody. But we have to protect everybody, not just some. The government should be neutral, not opinionated, not being controlled by one group or another. It should be neutral. Anyhow, I think I've said enough for now. I kind of put my point across. So anyhow, I have decided to vote for freedom, and I believe that Maxime Bernier, the PPC, is the best party in Canada if you really appreciate your freedom. Anyhow, thank you, and have a good day. I'll talk to you later. Bye now.